Hello,
Hello,
Nikki.
how are you?
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
So far, so good for the new year.
Excellent news. Did you have a bit of a break over the holiday season?
I did.
Good, good.
All right.
I see all this
Uh,
fantastic stuff coming out on your Substack, and my head's so full at the moment. I daren't, almost daren't read it because I know it'll send me off in another direction. But hopefully in time um I'll get some like headspace to properly
yeah.
delve into
All right.
it.
I need a little bit of help. So I know that Scott uh, provided a link to the file, uh, but I need someone to give me that file as an offline copy on an email or something because I have forgotten which email I used to access the drive, and I don't want to cycle through many of them and then eventually get locked out.
There you go. I've sent it via email. So let's
Let
do
me just
the
confirm that I've actually received one.
sorry, say again.
Let me just check that I've already just received
Yeah,
that.
yeah, t check that you've received it.
Yeah, given my affiliation status changing midway, this is what the strange situation with Linux Foundation drive access has turned out to be. Can I drop my email in chat and you can mail this to me, mail it to me at this one?
Well, I've got your email anyway. I've just sent it to you. Check your email.
If you have sent it to the one that I was using previously, that might have
Oh,
bounced.
right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, give
Yeah,
me your new.
yeah. This is the one that's in the Zoom chat. If you could do that, I will get cracking on mapping the stuff that I did with Scott's template. I'll take your advice and try to do it with Claude, which is going to be fun because I have not used Claude since.
Yeah, I mean, I've been I've been doing a lot of different types of things recently, and I've also been testing out because I was using ChatGPT, and for ethical reasons I thought, right, I'll try Claude. And what I found is it's good at some things, it's really good at spreadsheets, at compiling working spreadsheets where ChatGPT, it'll kind of put the text in the cells, but it won't do like complex cross sheet calculations or anything like that.
Yeah, I found that out to my misery that it doesn't do anything remotely useful with spreadsheets.
Yeah, exactly. But Claude's excellent. I mean,
Yeah,
I
and
you still have to do the work. Um, like but it'll probably shave off some time for you. So
I'll I'll do that because I think once we get this sorted, and before we kind of wrap this up, I know you said that you had a busy week in front of you. Uh, Aside from this spreadsheet resulting in a framework, what are the other outputs that you see from the task force that is high priority?
Uh, so this is what we agreed to deliver, the risk assessment matrix
Hmm.
and the business requirements definition. Um, I mean, you make a really good point that, and we need to put that in for the next meeting. Um, oh, bugger. So let's put this down. Um,
While you are writing this, I'll give you the context of why I asked, because I think there is still not enough clarity and understanding among the stakeholders who would be influenced, guided, directed by recommendations from this task force in terms of how they are going to take in and process what is given to them. So I don't know if the expectation is that the task force is going to give just a set of sort of requirements definitions or a set of checklists, or is that the understanding everybody else has? So if you are fairly certain that the understanding exists, then probably we can shoot for the deliverables fairly quickly.
okay. So it's not sufficient clarity on working group stakeholders and how
That
they.
that's just what I kind of perceived. I may be completely wrong.
I think you're absolutely spot on. And in a way, this has come too early in the process. You know, um, however, uh, I think Scott's sort of structuring of it is that we'll do this kind of template that can then be applied. Um, but it is, in a sense, it's kind of a maturity question. So you wouldn't bring Scott into a lean startup, would you? And so maybe we're kind of coming at it with a power drill when like a screwdriver would do at this stage. But I think
And
that's
that
worth
and that is a
discussion.
valid point actually, in a sense that that framing allows us to also kind of calibrate the granularity of the deliverable that we want to do right away. And in fact, we can say that this is something that's more of a high level with a more granular output coming later into the year or something. Look, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
I mean,
to
I think
make
Scott
best
really
use of
wants,
our time because I know you are
yeah.
busy, I'm busy, and Scott's busy in a thousand things anyways. Let's kind of think this through a bit, and you probably next time at the next meeting we sort of make it a point to discuss this. I won't want to call it reframing, but just refining things a bit while I complete the work that I took on, and then collectively we might also want to look at the dates because most of the dates are slated for January, and even though it's early January now, but I don't think we
Yeah,
have
it's
enough
just not going to
work
happen. I
done to
mean,
be able to do
yeah.
that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's a really good call, Sankshan. Um, I would say clarify timing, scope, and purpose. without going back round the loop on why you need to do a assessment, practically, how are the other work task forces going to make use of it? I guess, the question that you're asking. Is that true?
Yes. I mean, I
Yeah,
just want to ensure that whatever we are producing is in a format that can be used. Now, you and I have been doing this for a while, and one of the things I have noticed is that in most cases, the work in this swim lane becomes sort of an appendix or
yeah.
kind of becomes a use case that's tagged on somehow. And I don't think when I heard you and Scott talk about it in the initial meeting I attended, I don't think both of you wanted it to be an appendix. You wanted it to be a very intense decision driver process.
And just so I guess from a kind of product management perspective, um, it's about the process and the mindset as opposed to specific line items on a spreadsheet. And at every stage in the design process, you've got to consider risks and harms. And, I'm very open on the process. I use this kind of process in different guises at different stages in a development life cycle. So I wanted there to be some input for the designers and the techies and the governance experts on the one hand. So here's some requirements, some things like guardrails almost, or tools for testing. And then on the other hand, I wanted us to have a process when we were getting to the kind of, you know, let deliverable stage, the design stage where we're all agreed and this is how we're going to do it, where we could iterate around and say, what have we mitigated? Are there any new risks that arise out of this particular approach? So yeah, those kind of bookending the process. So some guidance up front so that we don't get to the end of the process in those groups where they say, oh, we didn't think about that. And of course, we're kind of shoehorning human harms prevention and risk assessment into the same process. Um, and it's an experiment. Let's see how it works.
Yeah.
But I think human harms are more socio-technical in a way that doesn't lend itself sometimes naturally. Um, Anyhow, I was reviewing, remember when we did the harms paper, we also did a cheat sheet
Yes. Yes.
with 7 things you can do and quick links and guidance. And I was reading that for another project the other day, and I was thinking, you know what, this is quite good advice. And it's some quite simple stuff. Um, so maybe if we decide a screwdriver's more, that framing, upfront framing could explore, as you say, high level, the areas of risk and the types of risk that are kind of unique to decentralized trust graph. Um, then that could be helpful because one of the risks I think inherent in this process is that it's all motherhood and apple pie. All of the risks currently in that spreadsheet, for example, they occur if you're using verifiable credentials for
Indeed.
identity exchange of any kind. It's
Yep.
not it's not over and above what we've already got, if you see what I mean. And so I don't want to rework the whole of that spreadsheet in the light of agentic AI and the new landscape. On the other hand, I think we can use the tools. So I'll show you what I did earlier on Claude, and this might give you some inspiration. So remember, I had asked it to, I'd been looking at John's papers, which took quite a specific scenario and asked a number of specific questions in terms of human harms, coercion, GDPR, and the right to be forgotten, that kind of stuff. And all I did was prompt it by saying, um, where's my prompt? So I gave it both of John's papers and I gave it the risk register. And I said, attached is the XLS workbook that we are populating, risk assessment worksheet. I want you to evaluate the two Word documents and give me a list of potential risks or harms against the categories in the risk assessment worksheet, column B. Don't recreate the whole workbook, just recreate the RA worksheet with your extracted risks, potential human harms. So it gave me one answer, and I had a look through it, and I noticed that there were several things that it had misunderstood. Um, and so I said, re-examine the existing risks contained in the worksheet. Consider that decentralized trust graph uses decentralized identity. Ensure that none of your new risks are not already contained in the XLS. And it gave me a revised list. And now what I'm going to do through is going through those and mapping them into the spreadsheet. But what I could equally do is get a good enough spreadsheet copy in decentralized trust, for this risk assessment worksheet. It's got the won't put the logos in, but it'll have exactly the same columns, and then feed it things like I was thinking we could feed it your spreadsheet. We could feed it all of the discussions on GitHub around the design of the credentials, VRCs, for example, and say, you know, now map those over or highlight the ones. And let me give you an example of a spreadsheet it's just done for me for completely another project. Um,
Nikki, just before you put that spreadsheet on, I wanted to remind you that I think these days the recording directly goes on to YouTube without any human intervention. So
oh, right. Good call. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it does, it very comprehensive spreadsheets. So, uh,
I'm beginning to wonder what the hell do I need myself to do if Claude can actually output this level of detail. All I need to do is just give it positive affirmation from all I can see.
yeah, you do need to, as with all of these things, be careful with your prompts and call it out when it gets something wrong. So Claude's very good at that. It's also really good at drawing, I've discovered, a interactive HTML diagrams of complex systems.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah. So let's say we were to feed it the white paper. Okay. Um, so let's download that. Where's that? Oh, here we go. So let's download it. They say, as a front-end engineer, create an interactive HTML diagram showing the main entities and entities and relationships within the first person project. So read this white paper, analyze the entities, roles, and relationships in a any gaps. See what it comes back with. So it's good at these diagrams, but you do use quite a lot of tokens in creating the first time in creating these complicated outputs. But what it's not very good at is answering the question succinctly, even if you asked it to. You know, you ask it a simple question and it comes back with a 30-page response, which I find infuriating.
Right. I think ChatGPT does that quite decently in
Yeah,
terms of organization.
exactly. Um, what I've also found is that using ChatGPT to create prompts for Claude is pretty good. So you describe to ChatGPT what you want, and it creates a prompt for you that you can then put into Claude. Or in fact, I've been using it to create prompts for Notebook LM, um, which has been very efficient. So anyhow, I think we can make use of these tools to help us accelerate this work and to ensure that task force time is spent on like digging into it and discussing it,
Yeah.
rather than worrying about who's going to complete which row on the spreadsheet, which I think we've kind of ended up sort of being a little bit, oh, it said max. So let's try that again. Mm. Anyhow, give it a go. It's not going to play ball at this moment in time, but
Yeah.
give it a go.
Look, I'll take a look at it and see where we get. I'll update the group on Discord about progress I've been making.
Yeah.
And this is we are meeting weekly, isn't it? Or are we meeting bi-weekly?
No, it's weekly at the moment.
So hopefully next week we can actually get more folks on the meeting and kind of ensure that we have a good plan for what the deliverables look like for the first round.
Yeah.
Oh, all righty.
Okay. Have a good day.
Th-
Thank you.
Thank you, Niti. Bye.
No worries. Bye.